Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special stream that has very odd circumstances because NASA reached out to us and say like, "Hey, do you want to talk to this black nerd who has done things for NASA?" And we'll sort of like, "Of course, of course we do." So hi, I am Mikkel Snyder. I host our Saturday game nights here on the Black Nerd Problems Twitch, and I'm joined by Courtney Lee of NASA.
Hi.
So, chat, please let us know if you can hear both of us. This is a while since we've done
Hello.
an interview, but we're very excited to have Courtney here with us today.
I'm
Uh,
super excited to be here.
Great. So, Courtney, so I could talk about your life, but I feel like it would be better if it's coming to you. So, what's your backstory? What's your background, and how did you end up working for NASA?
Yeah, so my background's a little different than the traditional people who kind of study science and then apply for NASA. So, growing up, I wanted to be like an actress or an entertainer. And in middle school and high school, I realized I wanted to be like an entertainment reporter. So, I wanted to be like Juliana Rancic or like Ryan Seacrest on the red carpets interviewing celebrities before their movies. So, I went to Curry College in Boston, Massachusetts. And or in Massachusetts, and I got my bachelor's in communications with a concentration in television. And then after that, I went to grad school at American University and I got my master's in reporting on public affairs, focusing on broadcast journalism. And after grad school, I realized that was something I didn't want to do. So it was a very expensive lesson learned, but it was one that I learned, and I'm glad I learned it before getting a couple years under my belt. So during that time, I graduated in the summer of 2018. I was still applying to TV jobs because I'm like, maybe I should stay on this track. Maybe I'll learn to love it if I'm in it. But I was also just looking for other jobs too and just trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I saw that NASA had a newsroom intern position open. And I was like, I didn't even know NASA had a newsroom. I didn't even think that NASA would have like a news or communications department. So around that time, I was still applying for jobs at stations, and I got offered a position to be an anchor in Michigan. And I also got offered the NASA internship, and I had to make a decision if I should take an internship and stay in the area or if I should kind of pursue what I got my degrees in. And I decided to take the NASA internship, which was the best decision I could have made, actually. So I'm really grateful that I did. So that's how I started at NASA. And actually, a fun fact, since I just graduated from school, I couldn't really get through the NASA internship database because you have to be currently in school in order to like log into the website. But this was something I was really interested in. So I Googled and I figured out who the executive producer was of the newsroom, and I emailed him directly and I was like, hi, unfortunately, I can't get through the website, but I'm very interested in this position. I sent my resume, my website, and I'm like, I'd love to talk more about this. And he really liked my initiative there. And he's like, we're going to figure out how to make this work. And they haven't been able to get rid of me since. So, yeah.
That is a fantastic lesson of persistence and knowing that if something is right for you, you should do steps that you should to take it.
Yes.
Emailing the director and being something like, "Yes, you want this, and you got it." And it's so cool that we now have you here today to talk even more about it. So, before we go on a little bit more about what it takes to manage social media for space, in essence, I gotta ask a few questions as a fellow Marylander. That's a tough one to say. But yeah, I went to high school in Clarksville, Maryland, River Hill, if that sounds familiar.
Oh, nice.
So,
Yes.
not sure where you went to, but I took summer classes at College Park UMD, and uh, I miss Lido's Pizza the most, being out in the Midwest. God, can't get the same thin crust here.
Yeah, I grew up in Germantown, Maryland. Went to Seneca Valley High School. Are you missing? Do you have Old Bay there? That's a staple that every Mailander needs to have. You
We
know.
we don't we don't really have much seafood out in the Midwest, so not a lot of need for Old Bay. That said, my dad still lives in Greenbelt with my brother, so every once in a while we'll go back, and there is definitely Old Bay in that house. Um,
Nice, nice. It's like when you're born here or when you come here, it's just like you are given a thing of Old Bay and it's like, welcome to Maryland, you know?
Treasure this, remember the taste.
Yes.
Okay. I used to actually drive by the Goddard Space Center because of it was just on one of the various commutes, and I always wanted to work there, but the grades weren't exactly there. So this is the closest I'm gonna get, and I'm cool with that actually. So
Well, if you're ever back in town, I can give you a tour.
I may have to take you up on that at some point. But let's talk about you, because you're one of the social media leads for NASA. You handle a couple of the different Twitter accounts from the looks of it. And I guess we'll sort of go back. You talked about like you wanted to be an actress. Did you ever anticipate you'd be doing social media thing when you were growing up, in the same way that it is now?
Not at all. I might be aging myself here, but when I was in high school, the big thing at that time was like Snapchat just came out when I was like a senior in high school, and Instagram was still like fairly new. So I didn't really think of social media as a job. It wasn't really something people did as jobs at that time, besides the people who like created the app. So it was never on my radar. I enjoyed social media. I love scrolling on it. I had a Tumblr. I remember I had an Ed Sheeran like dedicated Tumblr because I just loved him so much. So yeah, I love social media, but I never really thought of a job in social media.
So when you saw the internship of NASA, it spoke to you. It's sort of like this is different than usual television production, and you wanted it. So what was like the first like few days, weeks, months of the internship like?
Yeah, so I can tell you a little bit about what I did during the internship. So, like I said, I was a newsroom intern and I worked with our live shot team, which is our satellite media tours. So, basically, what we did is we got our engineers, scientists, and sometimes astronauts out to different media outlets all over the world. When we did them in person, we did them in 4 minute segments. So, we started at 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. and we would go like from Texas to the BBC to Ohio to California with a bunch of different talents. So, they were quick switch in the chairs. It was a very intense time each time we did a live shot campaign, but I love the thrill of it and it gave me like the newsroom feeling. And I really love doing that. And I did that even into the pandemic a little bit. And we used to do like 40 to 60 interviews a day. But with the pandemic, we realized we can do 6 interviews at a time because things are virtual, and we went to doing like 200 interviews in that 6 to 12 p.m. Time. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. I got to learn a lot. One thing that I really enjoyed was that since I don't have a science background, um, I was still working with the news, so I had to be able to tell information to the public in a way that I would understand. And I think I had a good skill set on that, since if someone's telling me about like exozodiacal dust and they're explaining it very heavily to me, I'm like, I'm not going to know what that is, and the audience isn't going to know what that is. So we need to work together to make this appropriate for someone at 6 in the morning drinking their coffee, turning on the news, and learning about it.
So as someone with a science background ish, I do technical writing for engineering software. Could you go
Mhm.
back to this exotical dust that you were talking about just for like a second?
Yeah, exozodiacal dust. So, oh my gosh, I don't. I'm so bad. I don't remember it off the top of my head. But we recently tweeted about it, so you can go on our Twitter and check it out.
Okay.
But it is something that I believe the Roman Space Telescope is going to be able to help us understand a little bit more. But it's dust that comes from like comets and meteors and just like things in the atmosphere. So it's kind of a collection of those dust. It's a
Okay.
hard word to say. Not a lot of people can say it. Even some scientists trip up on it, but I've said it so many times now, it like rolls off the tongue.
Just a lot of syllables in that one word and then dust.
Yeah, it's the Elmo meme, like balsamic vinegar. That's a big word for Elmo, and I'm like, it's like exozodiacal dust. That's a big word for Courtney. So
It's a big word for all of us. So
yeah.
we're gonna get to the satellite in a bit. I do want to keep
Okay.
on
Yeah.
the NASA progress. So you started out as an intern, and as you said, they didn't want to get rid of you, so they just kept you around. What was the pivot into working full time for NASA like?
Yeah, so when I started my internship in the fall of 2018, I was in the newsroom. And along with doing media outreach, I was like, we need to be reaching out to content creators and YouTubers as well. So I started kind of implementing that at Goddard, at the center I worked at. And they liked what I was doing. They're like, you know what, can we extend your internship into the spring? And I'm like, yeah, I was still trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And I was like, I'm enjoying this. So let me stay here. And in that time, I was also creating social products. Because we had a lull in our live shot campaign. So I was working with the social team on just cutting some videos and stuff and putting that together. And I've done social media before, like in undergrad and between grad school or during grad school, I worked at a bridal shop, which has some very interesting stories, but I also ran their social media there. So around May of 2019, I was like, my internship was coming to an end in a couple months, and I was talking to my boss. I'm like, "Hi, I would love to be full time. Do you know if any positions are opening?" And they were like, "Well, there's this mission that's like kind of on the up and up right now, and they are looking for a social media person, and I think you'd be a great fit for it. So can you interview with the team?" And I did, and I got the position. So in June of 2019, I became the social media lead for the Telescope. And the transition wasn't too hard. It was pretty easy. I already kind of knew everyone that I was going to be working with. I was so glad to have insurance now, like health insurance, and so that was a great and a
uh,
salary, like consistent like salary. That was amazing to have. So it felt very adult moving into a full time role from an internship position. So it was fun, and I was able to keep my desk and everything. So it wasn't that big of a transition.
well, that's always nice when when they invest in you as an intern and then they see that progression and then keep you around. That doesn't always
Yes.
happen, and I'm glad that you found a spot that really values your contribution to things. Uh, So the main goal, it sounds like, as the social media lead, is that you're trying to get the public invested in this type of content, and this
Mhm.
will transition now into this telescope. So, give us a little bit of insight into what the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope program is.
Yeah, so that's the mission I work on. I might be a little biased, but I think it's one of the best NASA missions. So the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope is NASA's next great space observatory telescope. It is going to be working with like the James Webb Space Telescope as well as Hubble to help us piece together this cosmic puzzle of our universe and help us know a little bit more. It's named after Dr. Nancy Grace Roman, who is the first chief of astronomy at NASA. And one thing I love about her is like she wasn't the first woman, she was just the first person. Because at like, and that's something, and when you're thinking of NASA, I think it was starting like 1959, 1960. Back then, women weren't given these opportunities or these roles to be in these positions, and NASA sought her out and were like, we want you to lead the astrophysics department, and she did. And she's the reason we have space-based telescopes now. So we decided to honor her by naming this telescope after her, because without her, we wouldn't have Hubble, we wouldn't have Webb, and a bunch of these other telescopes that are in space right now.
So you mentioned the only other two telescopes that I'm aware of. How does the Nancy Grace compare and contrast to the other two, especially the James Webb, since that's a recent telescope, uh, quote unquote?
Yeah, so um it has the so Hubble, I believe, is now 32 years old. So it's had a long, amazing mission, and it's still giving us some beautiful data. And I've worked with the Hubble team; they're amazing. I love Hubble too. Um, but Roman is going to give us the widest fields, or the widest images of space known to date. So think of one Hubble image; it's 100 times wider than that. So yeah, that's our big spiel. If you see the shape of Roman, it's kind of, and you'll see it in the video game, it's kind of this weird detector shape. And that is what we're going to be using to take these. That's going to be like what the photos are going to be looking like. So it has the same resolution as Hubble, but just 100 times wider. And with the James Webb Space Telescope, Roman is actually going to the same location. So Lagrange point two. So they're going to be in the same place. And Hubble's field of view, I mean, sorry, Webb's field of view is similar to Hubble's, but Webb is going to be looking further and deeper into space, whereas Roman's going to be looking wider. So they're
Okay.
actually going to be working together out there, where Roman's going to take the big pictures and be like, "Hey, Webb, I think you should look at this for a long period of time," and then it's going to do that.
That's really cool on how it's
Yeah.
all working together. So when does the Nancy Grace actually start looking wide into the vastness of the unknown?
Yeah, so it is set to launch no later than May 2026, 2027.
Okay, okay. So relatively soon in the grand scheme of society. Uh,
Yeah, we're actually starting to get a lot of the parts now at Goddard. It's going to be built in the clean room at Goddard, which is one of the largest clean rooms, I think, in the United States. And it's the same clean room that Hubble was in, Webb was in, and now Roman. So it's exciting that we are continuing the space telescope tradition.
do they have a viewing glass where you can take pictures from the other side, or is it has to be hush hush because patents?
Oh no, you can take photos. Yeah, we have a huge viewing gallery. There's seats there. Right now, if anyone is going on a tour at Goddard, we have the solar array panels, which are the. Do I have my telescope? I do. I have a mini model of my telescope here, which are these panels here. So we have the first set of these panels, and right now that are they're much bigger than this that are going to be on the telescope, or
Could
we're
you
going to be testing them. Then we're getting the ones that are going to be on the telescope.
could you bring the model back up again? Because that's really cool seeing it 3D
Yeah.
printed. That's
So this is my mini 3D printed model. It's traveled with me for a lot of places. It went to Hawaii with me for a conference. Um, I and it was they're really fragile, but I was able to carry it in my carry-on on the plane. And then they were like, "Oh, we need to look at your bag." I'm like, "Be careful." They're like, "Why?" I'm like, "It's just nerd stuff. I promise. It's a mini model of a telescope. I just don't want it to break." But
it's
yeah,
kind of like traveling with your cosplay. It's just sort of like, look, I know it seems very odd and conventional, but like it's completely harmless. I just want to take it with me for this one thing. Um,
yes.
that's really cool. All right, let's talk about the thing that sort of really brought everything together in terms of NASA reaching out to us. Is that you have a video game that you made to promote? So, do you want to talk about the game first, or shall we play the game first?
I can talk about it a little bit and then we can get into it. I can give the backstory about the game. So I am a huge gamer. I love playing games. My main console is a Switch, but I also have a gaming PC that I work on. And my cousin, who might be watching the stream, gave me his PS4 that I have in
Nice.
my room. So I've always loved games ever since I was young. I still have my PS1 that I have the Rugrats on, which is a game I still haven't beat yet, which I'm planning on beating. I have my Wii set up over here so I can play Glee karaoke. So like I'm a huge gamer, and I wanted to find a way to meld the loves of gaming and work. And one thing a lot of people say is our detectors look like the Space Invader alien, and we get that often. They're like, "Why is it that weird shape?" And I was thinking, I was like, why don't we play into that? Why don't we kind of create an 8-bit style game where it teaches you about the telescope? So it's called Roman Space Observer, and you play as the Roman detector, and you have 1 minute to capture as many astronomical objects as possible. It took about a year of planning and working with a developer and our illustrator, and there's the Roman communications team. I call them the rom-com team, in order to get this to get this game up and out. And we released it on June 2nd, and it's been a success ever since. So it's something I'm really proud of. Because how many people can say that they were like playing video games for a couple hours just to make sure it works like well for during their workday, you know?
It's it's incredible that you got this idea from the panels of the telescope and sort of like and made it into something that like helps people understand. That's not a jump that a lot of people would make, and it's really cool. So we're gonna pivot over to the actual website where people can play this game right now. Did this correctly, and I did do this correctly. So this
Awesome.
is the Roman Space Telescope Observer game. I'm gonna try to put the link in chat if I remember how to do things on my phone. Uh, but it looks like there are some pretty high scores that I'm gonna have to try to compete with if I wanna uh, keep my status as a gamer representative for BNP. So, any advice on the game before I give it a try?
So, um, one thing with the game, if you go diagonally, you go a little bit quicker.
Okay.
The detectors also loop. So if you go off the screen, you come back at the top. If you go to the left, you come back to the right. So use those to your advantage.
Okay. Okay. So, this game only takes about a minute to play from the couple ones that I do, so we'll see out of a best of three, and feel free to commentate and give encouragement or critique. I'm fine with either. So, all right, try
You
this.
got this.
All right, so we have that. You have been given observation time of the Nancy Grace Roman Space Telescope. You only have 1 minute. 1 minute to catch as many astrophysical objects and phenomenon as possible. Rules: press spacebar to start, use the arrow keys to move the Roman detectors over an object, and press spacebar to capture it. Alright, chat, if you're watching, feel free to take bets on my performance and which one of the 3 rounds is going to be great. Alright, so diagonals move faster, and there's a wraparound mechanic just like the original Space Invaders.
Yes.
I haven't played this with sound yet. Oh, this is fun. Alright, take one.
And if you need to mute it, you can press M too to mute the music. So galaxies are the lowest points. They're a little easier to capture. There are going to be some rogue planets in there as well, and rogue exoplanets. There's also going to be a black hole that crosses your screen. So those are very hard to see, but you'll notice that there's nothing behind them when they go by. It's just a round circle. So you got this. I can't see your screen, but I'm assuming you're doing amazing.
Oh, I will fix that next time around.
From the clicking, it sounds super intense. I feel like you're getting a high score.
We got 566.
That is not bad.
That's not bad.
Honestly, with me also talking to you and distracting you, that is not a bad score.
Well, no, so funnily enough, what you said was actually helping me because you mentioned the black holes as like you can see like the absence of the thing, and so like that helped me pick up 2 dark matters and 2 black holes. So
Nice.
all right, so yeah, it looks like I got 38 galaxies since those were pretty easy to catch. The supernovas, I wasn't sure if I was catching them or not because I saw them, but I wasn't sure if I was actually capturing them. And then 4 exoplanets, and what's a rogue exoplanet?
So there are exoplanets that are planets outside of our solar system, and they orbit around stars outside of our solar system. But there are also planets that aren't attached to any star, so they are just planets that are out in the universe, just going by themselves. So those are a little harder to catch and a little harder to see as well, because with no star light around it, it's just a planet floating through dark space.
Okay. So 566. That's a pretty solid baseline. It sounds like I'm gonna try to figure out how to share my screen without breaking the stream.
And if not, I can just continue to talk about it. There's the thing with the dark matter is that you can't really see dark matter, but it's the thing that distorts the images. So if you saw, some of the galaxies were getting are stretched out, and that's because they're being distorted by dark matter, which is something we can't see, but we know it's there because it distorts things that we know what they look like, basically.
So you should be able to see my screen now. I'm just gonna do some stream magic as a second if you want to keep talking about space for a bit.
Yeah, space is great, guys. It's huge. There's a lot of it. And the Roman Space Telescope is going to be able to help us hopefully learn a little bit more about space in our universe. It's, like I said, it's huge. Who knew space was as big as it is?
So big.
And yeah, and with dark matter, we really don't know what it is. Same thing with one thing that's not in this game, but dark energy is something that the telescope will also be able to figure out. So we know that the universe is accelerating and pulling itself apart, and we want to kind of figure out and understand the history of this acceleration. So with Roman, we'll be able to look back in time to kind of watch the history of the acceleration to kind of predict how it's going to continue to accelerate in the future.
That's such a wild concept that we're able to like look into the distance and then via math and other science to like figure out like the origins of how everything started. It's
It
it's
freaks
mind
me out.
boggling.
It's thinking that time doesn't work in space, it's just like time's different. It doesn't, my brain cannot like understand it, but it's a little scary.
All right, so can you see the game screen?
Yes, I can.
All right, so we're gonna give this two more shots. Feel free
Okay.
to continue to coach. So we're gonna try to beat 566. I don't think we're gonna get to the 800 that was listed on the website, but we're gonna give it a try. So, all right,
Yeah, my highest I think is 658.
all right. 658. Let's try to get to 600, and that seems tenable now that we know. So just look for
If you
the
get a web in there,
web.
that's like, if you get a web, that's like chef's kiss. That's how you get a lot of the points. They're very rare and it's super quick because even though they're going to the same location, they won't be able to see each other, but they might get a glimpse of each other in
Yeah.
space. So we just added a fun little web in there as a
I don't think I
cute little
saw
thing.
any webs, but this is also kind of like the attention span experiment with like the six people playing basketball, and then the bear comes in. So there's
Yeah.
just a lot going on. So, all right, take two. All right, thank you, Omar, for saving that clip of my first attempt. Let's see if the second attempt goes better. Press R to play again. It just goes. Okay.
Oh, so with the supernova, you have to get it when it's at its brightest. So when it's at the
Okay.
peak of its.
Gotcha. So like that.
Yeah.
There we go.
There you go. Yeah. So good. Oh, you got it. Did you get it? You're so close. When you get it when it's distorted, that's the dark matter. We brought this game to AwesomeCon here in DC, which is like Comic-Con, and I was able to program the game with an Atari controller. So people came to our booth and were able to play. We're actually working on getting it into a arcade machine that we can bring to outreach events.
I have so many questions about that afterwards, but I have 30 seconds here.
Oh, there's a black hole. Do you see it? It's at the top.
Yeah, I don't think I can go fast enough.
So close. You should, when I play this game, it's just like, I have like the angry, ugly face on, just like grunting the whole time.
Okay.
That was so close. I was like, you're so close to 600.
Okay, I mean, okay, so we'll keep in consistency. We got a lot more supernovas that time. Now that I know you have to catch them while they're at its brightest. Not as many. So what happened there was that because the supernovas were at its brightest, I wanted the supernovas, but it looks like they're not worth that many points compared to the dark matter and black holes.
Yes, yeah.
So you got this
So
to
if
work
you
with
get
an
or rogue
Atari.
planets, yeah.
You got this to work with an Atari controller. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was. I found it on Amazon, and our programmer was like, "I think this one will work," and I was able to program it. And I thought it would be a fun way of like engaging people to come over to be able to play the game. Because I noticed at AwesomeCon, there's a lot of parents being like, "Oh my God, I remember used to playing with that controller and bringing their kids over and like teaching them how to use the controller and play the game." And I'm like, "Oh my God, I'm melting like two generations and like they're learning about Roman." So yeah, that was a lot of fun. A lot of people were like, I haven't seen one of these in so long. But it was, yeah, I still have it here. I have it next to me. It's just a little controller that I was able to program.
And now you want to make a whole arcade cabinet for this game.
Yes, so we would like two, one for the visitor center, like a big one, and then a little tabletop one that we can bring to outreach events. So that's hopefully we'll be able to get one of those, the tabletop ones, because I think it'll be fun to just see kind of the Roman Space Observer logo on the side of it. And people are like, why is there an arcade game at this astronomy conference? And I'm like, well, come on over and learn about Roman, you know? And at conferences, a lot of people like kept coming back because I had a scoreboard on the side and just kept track of people, and they were like, I need to beat the highest score. Or when they came back and they're like, my score is beat, they're like, move over. They started stretching and we're like, you need a chair here so I can be able to just sit and play this.
Need the focus. I need the positioning. I need the grounding.
Yes.
So, are you like gonna take a old arcade cabinet and like retrofit it, or are you gonna try to make one from scratch for the bigger cabinet for the guest center?
We're still like figuring that out right now. What I would love to do is to be able to program the game in like buy a cabinet that we can just put something in and program the game into the cabinet there. So
Okay,
not taking an old one, but buying a new one, just like a shell and building around that.
okay, okay. That
That's my hope. Yeah.
that's just such a really fascinating way to get people engaged with space. And like space to me, like I grew up wanting to be an astronaut, like many of us did, right? Um, and it's just really cool seeing the different ways you can get people to engage with something that like is naturally exciting, but like sometimes people like don't know how exactly to approach it. And this is a very neat and fascinating way to like get people engaged with like a telescope, and it's the simplest thing. We've had telescopes for God knows how long, and like this reinvents it. So that's really cool.
Yeah, and like I said earlier, I don't have a science background, and I'm like, well, I want to meet people where they are, you know? So I'm like, why not create something? If I saw this when I was younger, when I was playing my Rugrats on my Stuart Little game on my PS1, I would have been like, oh, this is actually interesting. Let me learn, you know what I mean? Let me learn a
Mhm.
little bit more, because it's not like throwing science in someone's face. It's throwing something that they're familiar with and then just adding some science nuggets. And then like once you pull them in, they're stuck, you know, they come to the dark side of space and we'll learn a little bit more.
All right, so we'll give this one more go. We'll see if I can't get a new personal best. So we're aiming for 600. We'll be happy with a 560 something. So all right,
Okay, you got this.
okay,
I'm rooting for you.
okay. Let's go. Let's go.
I'm like sweating over here for you. You got this. Okay. Oh, there's a oh yes, you got it. Nice, nice, nice. There's a lot of galaxies in this one. Oh, did you get it? Yes. Oh wait, oh, you missed it. It's so close though. Oh, was that another black hole? I don't even know if this is helping. It's just yelling things at you. Black hole, galaxy. Whole web shows up for you. Web, get it, get it. Did you get it?
Yeah,
You got
yeah,
it. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. You have 15 seconds left. You're so
yeah.
close.
We got it.
Okay. Yes, keep going, keep going. Let's see. Oh my god, wait, no, you're gonna make my score. Slow down. Well,
Whew.
I think I'm gonna go.
Oh no! Wait, stop. Put, this didn't happen, chat. Just look away. Just look. When you summoned
Wow.
the Webb telescope for me, though, the game heard you and decided to give me that thing, and that pushed me over the edge.
It did. I'm like, I'm happy for you, but I'm a little upset. But like, I'm so happy.
No, I would too be upset if my creation decided to listen to my advice a little too hard and then dethrone me publicly on stream. That hurts.
Yeah, it's
That
you
hurts.
know, I made this for the public, so I'm glad you're enjoying it and you're getting a high score. That's all I care about, you know? I'm not going to play it after we end this and see if I can beat it. I won't do that at all.
No, no, that would be wildly irresponsible during company hours.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's get back to our standard interview screen. I'm gonna stop sharing. You can come back to that if you have other things you want to look at. All right. So we are back in the interview segment. So uh, just to recap for some of the newer viewers in chat, that took a year to coordinate with a wide variety of people. So you worked with a game developer, a sound designer, and I love this name, the rom-com team.
Yeah, it's like because I love them. There's like a little core group of us, and I also love movies, so I'm like we're like the rom-coms. I'm gonna make us t-shirts so we can wear to our meetings.
One of our mods in chat is sharing some of the social media. So you run the NASA Goddard account and just make sure we get all of them. You also run the NASA Roman account as well, correct?
Yes, I only run the Roman account. I do help contribute to the Goddard
Okay,
account
so
though. They have their own
contributor.
social team.
Got it.
Yeah.
So contributor to Goddard, and then the manager for the Roman, because that's the telescope. That's the romcom team. Um,
Yes.
so all right, so we covered the design process and the coding process. We decided like why you wanted to do it as like an engagement. We talked about your high score. Again, so sorry about that.
All right.
It's Webb's fault when you really think about it. All
It
right.
is. Ugh, Webb.
Of course, it's your rival telescope in a sense. So like clearly there's some bad circuitry. Is that what telescopes say instead of bad? I don't. Anyways. Anything else about your NASA experience that you want to share with the crowd before we talk about some more general nerd topics?
um, Let me think. I kind of touched on it a little bit earlier. I just any content that I create for Roman, especially at NASA, I want to create it so that the general public, as well as people who don't know they're interested in science, are able to understand and actually want to watch the content. I don't want to just create content to put it out there. I don't want to us to be like, oh, let's create a story about this and just put it out there. No, I want to create things with intention, and that's everything I do with Roman. And one thing I also try to do is do people focused like stories as well as social products, because the telescope's just not going to appear in space. It takes hundreds of people here on Earth, that sounds weird to say, here on Earth, who are going to be building and working and programming the telescope. And I want to give them their flowers now and let them know that we appreciate them, as well as this is their telescope and they're putting it out there. It's not just something that appears. So that's something I also try to do with my social media.
That's really great. I think when it comes to like big projects, like any big project, it's easy to get lost in the end result and not think about like the hundreds of thousands of hours being put by actual people who also have an equal investment into all of this. Um, so
Yes.
a people first approach is one that's appreciated. Like we love to see actual people get things and not just like NASA did this. It's not just NASA. It's an entire group that really cares about space. So
Yes.
um, okay, so before we transition on, I do want to go back to this talking point of like making it accessible to the public. How do you transition from talking about space dust that has many syllables and trying to translate that into a common thing? Because like as a tech writer, I do that all the time. Where it's like here's what software development wants. It's this complicated 17-step process, and I had to break it down. So it's like, okay, here are like the four things that you need to know first, and then we'll build on top of that, and then we'll build on top of that. I'm curious if it's a similar process for you.
Yeah, definitely. Like there's a lot of complex jargon words that are at NASA, and one thing I also try to do is not steer clear of the jargon, but try to teach people about it to kind of make it into everyday language. So one of the techniques that the Roman Space Telescope is going to be doing is called microlensing. Actually, I'm not going to talk about microlensing. That's really complicated. I'll talk about the coronagraph, which
Okay.
a lot of people don't really know what a coronagraph is. Like you kind of know, like it blocks out light from a star. We've used it kind of with our sun. But what we'll be able to do with Roman is we're going to block out the light of stars and far like far away in order to be able to see planets around them, because we assume that there's at least one planet around every star that's out there, but we can't see them. So using this technique to block them out, we're able to see these exoplanets that are out there. So I try to, and that's like a crazy concept to think, you know, that there are the stars we see up there have planets. Like, who would have thought? But I think just breaking it down like that, and doing it over a period of time, and like starting with like the easier terms and being like, oh, exoplanets, planets outside of our solar system. Every star might have at least one planet, if not more, circling around them. And we have this instrument on the telescope called the coronagraph instrument that we are going to be testing in order to be able to see these planets outside of it. So, kind of telling a story a little bit backwards, in a sense where it's like easier to getting into the more complex once they're in it.
That was incredible because in 1 minute I went from not knowing what a coronagraph instrument was to completely understanding it and why it's so cool that there is one on this telescope. Oh, that's what we love to see here, folks. All right, so you are also a gamer, a nerd, and passionate about many other things. So it would be a waste not to talk about some of the things that you do outside of NASA, some of the nerd content that you like to consume. So let's spend the back half of the interview just talking about some of the stuff that you've been enjoying. So I guess we'll start with what have you been watching recently? Anime, TV, movies, documentaries, anything that's been in your streaming queue or your cable queue. I don't know.
Yeah, so I'm like all over the place when it comes to watching things. Like I I haven't watched in a while, but I love trashy reality TV shows, like the dating shows, you know? They're
Mm.
like my chef's kiss. I love them. But my go-to, like whenever, like I love horror. I'm a huge horror fan. I love scary movies. I don't know, you can't see, but I have like a Beetlejuice succulent head behind me. And then which I got in a horror mystery box, as well as a Michael Myers. I mean, sorry, a Camp Crystal Lake Jason like snow globe thing. And then I have a Chucky doll that's in my room that my mom made from a My Buddy doll. She got it at a thrift shop.
Wait,
So I've
wait, wait,
always loved horror.
wait. Let's go back to this. Your mom made you a Chucky doll out of a different doll.
Yeah, so it's like Chucky's kind of based off of like the My Buddy dolls that came out around that similar time. So when
Mhm.
she was thrift shopping, she saw My Buddy doll and she's like, "Oh my god, let me like make this into Chucky." I wish I brought him out. He has like she put nail polish on his face for like blood, and like he has like a little fake syringe and his hair's all crazy, and like she made him like look a little angry and stuff. So he just sits in a chair in my room.
So it sounds like the love for horror runs in the family. Um,
Oh yeah, I think I watched it was Halloween when I was in kindergarten. I remember because it was when we were. I was living in Boston at the time, and my mom Halloween was her favorite. Like, is her favorite time of the year. So yeah, I've always had horror movies on. So like, I watch them to go to sleep. It just like calms me, you know.
No, but I've been getting more into horror ever since Get Out came out, and that was sort of like okay, I can actually enjoy horror. I think I my first like horror related thing was actually Supernatural on the CW, which is also like fantasy yes, but in any event, I've been getting more and more into horror, so I've been having friends give recommendations. So if you have any of like good intro horror movies, I will take it and then I will report back.
Okay, so one of the movies I love, it's not really horror. It's like horror for me is I have to see something scary. So like I need a scary monster. I need something that's going to terrify me. So like things that don't really have that but are horror, I consider like more like horror thriller. So like
Gotcha.
Hush on Netflix is amazing. It's about this writer who lives in the woods and she's deaf, and this guy's like trying to come in and break in, and he realizes that she's deaf, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna play with her," but she's like someone not to play with, and she is amazing. I've watched that movie a ton of times. My favorite movie of all time, you've probably seen it, World War Z,
Mm,
with Brad Pitt.
yeah.
I My favorite horror genre is zombies. I love zombies so much. I hope one day to be so successful that I can have my own like production studio and they just make me zombie movies so I can watch them every year because I like good zombie movies. So that's always a good one. I'm only like 3 episodes in. I'm watching the new Resident Evil series on Netflix,
Hmm.
and I'm only 3 episodes in because I'm like I want to see more
Hmm.
scary stuff. I used to love The Walking Dead, but once like more humans got into it, I'm like, where are my zombies? I just need my zombies, man.
I recently finished watching the Resident Evil series, largely because I just really love watching Lance Reddick be Lance Reddick on screen. He's just fantastic.
Hmm.
Um, alright, so other TV, anime, anything else that you've been watching?
Um, I've been watching a lot of Twitch streams actually, like
Okay.
gaming streams on YouTube. So I watch a lot of gaming playthroughs. But I'm trying to think, what have I watched recently? Besides I started a movie last night, Splinter. I didn't finish it because I got too involved in it and I couldn't fall asleep to it, so I'm like actually want to sit and watch it.
Hmm.
Um but ooh, I watched in is it Incantation on Netflix? It's a new horror movie that people said is one of the scariest movies ever. I saw it on TikTok and people were like, no one can finish it. I finished it. Uh, it wasn't that like I need to be like terrified, you
Okay.
know. But I thought it was really good. It was a really good horror movie, so I would highly suggest that. Um, yeah, and it's not in English, but sub not dubbed, always and forever. I stand by that.
That's a very decent hotline stance, especially when it comes to Netflix, because their subtitles could use work. Is the way I will be polite about it, because this is a professional setting. Um,
Yes.
so, all right, so that's some of the visual media. Let's go to more visual media, but in a different way. Or any comics, any books that you're reading that you want to share with chat.
I'm not reading any currently, but I have some on my wish list that I have. My birthday was this past week, so I am getting a Kindle and I'm really excited to start like being able to read a little bit more. Nothing really nerdy, but I really want to get into Maya Angelou's and Toni Morrison's books. My Angelou's poem, "Still I Rise," got me through undergrad, and it's one of my favorite poems. I put on my graduation cap, and I got me through undergrad, grad school life. You know, I had to like print it out on all my binders in my room. I would just there's a version that she plays, and it's on YouTube. And at the end, and so she says, "And naturally, there I go rising." So I put that on my graduation cap. So I'm really excited to start reading some of her books. And then there's some horror books out there that I plan on reading that I saw on TikTok. I have them saved to my phone, but I haven't been able to download them yet. But yeah, that's books to come. So I'm excited about that.
You don't happen to manage NASA's TikTok as well, and you have this fear that you're saving the wrong content to the wrong account, do you? Is that something you worry about? Is
No,
that
no. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to have TikTok, so I don't have that worry.
okay? Alright, so, and then finally, we're gonna talk about your gaming, which is really cool because you actually have a gaming Instagram that I'm gonna bring up on the separate screen as you talk about things. Um,
Yeah, I love. Like I said before, I'm a huge gamer. My genre of games vary a ton. Uh, I play from Phasmophobia to Cozy Grove to Animal Crossing to I just finished Miss Little Miss Fortune. Um, and I'm excited for the new Bear and Breakfast game that's coming out. So I can't wait to get that on the Switch where you play as a bear who runs a bed and breakfast. Like, what's more fun than that, you know?
so very true. All right, I'm gonna give this link to the chat, and then I'm gonna switch over to show it to you as well. So, not that you need to be shown your own Instagram, but just so that way you know what I'm looking at any given time. So, we're gonna go
Yeah.
to our text screen for just a second. All right, everyone's faces is on screen, and now we have your Instagram here. So, did you make this profile, or was that a commission?
I got a commission. So I have some partners on my account, which are just, oh my God, I have to change my age on there. I didn't realize I turned 27 this week. So I have
Happy
to change it
birthday
from
yet again.
26. Thank you. Um, but I commissioned it from one of my gaming partners where we just share each other's stuff. So yeah, she made that for me, and I love it so much.
What does Zetus Lapetus come from? It sounds familiar, but I just can't place it right now.
Yeah, so it goes along with my gamer name, which is Protozoa. I don't know if you've ever seen Xenon, the 21st Century Girl, which is a
That's
Disney
where it
DK
was.
original.
That's where it was. Yes. Oh, I love that
So I'm always
series.
like Zetus Lapidus. So or I'm like zoom zoom zoom. So I'm like, you know what? I love it. It's also, I feel like it's subconsciously is why I love space, because that's my favorite like Disney DCOM movie ever.
That makes sense. Yeah.
So I put that into my gaming.
Also, your cousin says hi in chat, just as a note.
Oh, hey Ty.
Alright, so we see some partnerships, some setup, Dead by Daylight. So let's take a look at some of the. These are really nice. Um,
Thank you.
oh, so so these are villagers that you wanted, or no? You just open a pack.
Yeah, so I've been my target. I want more amiibo packs, but every time I get them, I try to film a video of me opening them up to see what kind of villagers I get. I'm waiting for one of them. I can't believe I'm forgetting her name because like she's the one I want so much, but she's like an Egyptian cat, and
Oh,
I want
Anka.
her so bad.
Why do I know
Huh?
that so
Yes,
fast?
it's. I thought I got her in this pack. You can see the last one. I was like, oh, at first I was like, "Oh my god, is that her?" And it wasn't. And I muted it because I gasped really loud when I was editing the video. Um, but yeah, hopefully one day my Target doesn't have them, so
Mhm.
hopefully I'll be able to find some more soon. I might find a different Target this weekend, just look for some. Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Fall Guys recently, such it's been on the Switch. I have played it on my PC. It's a lot of fun. I love playing with my family. I have family game night every Saturday or every Sunday that I play with my cousins, my aunt, and my friends.
That's really nice. So do you have like a little like photo studio in the back of your office somewhere where you put all of these together? Because these look so clean. Um,
Thank you. I actually just take them on my dining table right behind me. I usually do it on a sunny day, and I have like either cardstock or I have I forget what it's called. It's like the cardstock basically, but like shiny cardstock. I put that
mhm.
on there, and then I take printer paper and I fold it up on the side to reflect the light back from the window, and then I take my photos.
These are really cool to just like look at and like get the different vibes of things. There was one of your island a couple posts down that I really enjoyed. Um, just scroll for a bit. This is
Thanks. I haven't looked at my thing in a while.
um, I wanted to do an animal halt, but trying to do switch internet activities in a time frame tends to be a recipe for disaster. So we'll just have to talk about your Animal Crossing island. Um, this is such a great photo. I love this little fossil that you have right here.
Thank you. My cousin who's in the chat right now, Tyreek, he actually 3D printed it and painted it for me. Um,
Oh my god.
and
Oh my god.
he actually, I don't know if you can, I'll see if I can grab it. He created me a little Nook's cranny from for Christmas.
Ty,
And it's
you
so
are
cute. I haven't used it in
just
my gaming thing yet, but I love it.
Ty, this is some phenomenal stuff right there. I dabbled in 3D printing at one point in the past. It's a finicky device that can do a lot of cool things, and I just do not have the patience. And to know that this is 3D printed and that Nook's Cranny, that's incredible.
Oh, he made this out of like card cardboard and then like
That's
wood.
still
I'm
incredible.
trying to pop. There we go. Wood.
That's still I don't have the patience for that. Uh, so what have you been playing recently outside of Fall Guys, Animal Crossing, and as from when was this from? This is from June. So you were playing Smash in June. Um,
Yeah, so I don't. Oh, so the last game, what did we play on Sunday? We played Mario Kart and Uno. And I'm so excited for the new. I bought like the expansion thing on Mario Kart, and 8 new races
yep.
are coming out next week, and I'm so excited for it. Um, so right now I finished up Little Miss Fortune, which kind of like it made me so sad because I knew it was gonna be like a moody game, but I finished it at the end, and I actually sat down and I was like, this I don't feel well. Like this game made me really sad. I've been playing Cozy Grove too, which is a lot of fun, where you play as a little Girl Scout who has to help these bear ghosts like move on, and just like it's also very sad because some of their stories like get really intense. One of them is like a quadriplegic who got in an accident and she doesn't want any help from you, and she's on the beach and her name's Octavia, but then like she learns to like, oh, I can use help. Another one's like a hoarder and you have to help him figure out why he's hoarding, and you find out that his family didn't have a lot of money and didn't have any food growing up, so he hoards things. And I won't spoil how he passed, but you learn that at the end.
You were right, that did get
um
surprisingly dark very quickly.
yeah, it gets worse, not worse, but like sad, more sad. So
Incredible. You saying Mario Kart got a lot of people excited in chat, so we might need to have you over for one of the Kart nights, and so that way you can play with the rest of the crew. um,
yeah, please, I love Mario Kart. um since my family's not here, they could say it in the chat, but who you're gonna believe? You're gonna believe me. I'm the current winner
okay,
of Mario Kart.
I have no counter
If they
evidence
say
at the moment.
otherwise, can you block them and like report them? But yeah,
Ma-
thanks.
Mods, you heard Courtney. As our guest, we have to acquiesce. So, all right. So we're gonna take a stop. So we are nearing the end of the hour. What I like to do to close off every single interview that I do is that I like to ask the interviewee, "What's a piece of media that you wish had more attention?" Not your favorite, not like the most popular thing, just something that you wish more people knew about, so you could talk about it with more people. So do you have something like that for us?
Um, the one that comes to mind. So I was thinking about this. Well, there's a couple things. I love K-pop and the group GOT7. So if more people like listen to GOT7, I would love to talk more about that.
Excellent.
But there's a YouTuber called My Froggy Stuff. She has a lot of followers. I think she maybe has 2 million. But she makes the most, and we actually did a collaboration with her a couple months ago for a black hole themed doll room. So she basically makes doll rooms, and like actually they're so like detailed, and I love it so much, and I just want to give her, she's my favorite person. I want to give her all of her flowers. I've been watching her since for almost a decade now, since
Oh wow.
2013. And like this was, I like fangirled when we did like the meeting with her, and I was trying not to because I was trying to be like real, like, yeah, this is thank you for joining with us today. And when she came on her camera, I went, oh! And I felt so bad, and I messaged my teammate. I'm like, I just gasped so loud, and I think she noticed. But yeah, My Froggy Stuff, if you guys go on their channel, they make amazing doll miniatures, and they did one for Black Hole Week, which is great. And then another media, like, kind of, I don't know if really this answers the questions, but like I want people to like know that like there's comms and arts and like more creative jobs at NASA that people can do, you know? Like I didn't know there was a newsroom position, and I want people to know at a younger age, like you can run social media or you can do animation. Like we have our CI lab is where they create a lot of like our animations in, and it's the coolest office because it looks like a spaceship. It looks like a spaceship from like, I forget, some TV show, but like some of the animators used to like work on Disney, and then they came over here and now they animate for this, and then they've done stuff with like Transformers. Yeah, there's so many
It's
people, like
wild.
there's so many different people in different walks of lives, and like you don't have to do a traditional path to NASA. There's a woman, you can look her up, her name's Paula Kane. She works at Goddard in the blanket lab where she sews the blankets that go on these telescopes. So she did yeah, there's like the thermal blankets that are on there. And you know how she found the job? She was looking at the newspaper, and NASA was looking for fashion designers to hire to do these things, and she was a fashion designer, and she applied, and she's been there like, I think over 10 years, maybe a little more, probably like she's been there a long time. I just met her for the first time recently, but I've heard about her for the last 4 years. Um, but just to know, she was a fashion designer and then came to NASA to sew blankets for spacecrafts.
Like
That's crazy.
it makes sense conceptually, right? Like sort of like, oh, these like very temperature sensitive objects need like special thermal protection in the form of blankets. It never occurs to you. It's like, oh, somebody has to make these, and like a fashion designer has like the best skills possible for making this. That's incredible.
Right? And like, what if she ever thought she was going to work for NASA? Probably not, you know, but I'm like, there's so many different like avenues. And just if you, and don't be afraid to like do like ask, do creative things, and you never know who's watching, or and take the initiative. And yeah, just give it a shot. I would have never thought I would be here. Look, I'm here. If they can hire me, they can hire you. So
That's a great note to own on. So as a general summation type thing, thank you everyone for joining us in chat. Thank you, Courtney, for giving us an hour of your time. We will have this VOD up for a little bit. We'll try to get this up on our YouTube, and we will also be doing a write up of this interview on our site, where we will also have some more links and images as well. So Courtney did a huge favor and provided some comics from the Nancy Grace Roman Telescopes media accounts, as well as some Twitch clips from the first time that the game was played, or one of the first times. So,
mhm.
yeah, thank you so much. And we will be sure to let people know that space is just really cool. So, any last words from you, Courtney?
I'll just say if you check out the comics, they're so fun. I don't know why I didn't bring this up. They're so fun and so cute, and there's something that we do. Shout out to our rom-com team and our animators who illustrate them. It's just an amazing way of also reaching people where they are, creating these cute little comics. We did a Star Wars Day one where like Roman as was one object and Webb was the other. I've never seen Star Wars. I don't know how like I work at NASA and never seen it, but like other people get it, you know? But yeah, it was a pleasure like being here, and I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to even talk to me about this. And I hope you all learned a little bit more about Roman and just like some of the fun stuff that we do at NASA.
This was great. All right, so chat, you will see me tomorrow for our usual game night. I'm gonna end stream right now, but chat adores you, just as an FYI, and we will definitely be in contact.
Thank
So,
you.
so stream. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you for joining us, and then